Hello and welcome back to a special edition of Idle Kingdom Defense. So today what we are talking about is what everybody has been asking me for, an updated hero ranking with Sky Castle 3. Now you will notice that this is my alt account, but I did get Sky Castle 3 on my alt account. I thought I had mentioned that, but let's get to it. Let's get to the hero ranking. And for the hero ranking, we will start with the warriors. Now, there are two warriors who are just standout, going to be on both your farm team and your main team, and the only reason they aren't here in my team right now is because I just couldn't level them anymore, and that is Brian and Daniel. These two warriors, with the changes from Sky Castle 3, are now the best two warriors to have. Daniel might seem really obvious because his buff now is crit damage and crit chance. Brian might not seem so obvious because I have had some people question why Brian. And I'll tell you why. It's because he buffs the attack speed. Why is the attack speed important? Because if you know anything about Daniel, Daniel gets a lot of attack per level. Like, let's just level him up to like level 5. He's getting like okay, it's not really great for him right now but you know, this is my alt account. It's only he's only uncommon. He's getting 44 attack per level. He doesn't have gear on. Let's put some gear on. All right, he has 20k attack. And remember, he's level 10. Okay, now he has still 20k. So he has 20k attack. Now let's look at, okay, all right. Well, you know, obviously I need to sink a lot of levels into him, so just trust me on Daniel. His attack growth is incredible, especially as you ascend him further. Obviously, on my alt account, he's a little behind. On my main account, you've seen him. He sometimes hits number 2 on the damage, number 3 on the damage. It depends on the stage. He is an absolute monster, and the important thing about Daniel is he is a monster on the stages you need him to be the strongest on. Because he's a single target damage dealer, he will lock onto something and just wreck it. And that's really what you want in a warrior, especially because single target stages are the slow ones. The AoE stages are so much faster. So Daniel and Brian, they are the backbone of your warriors now. And again, they're not in my alt account because I had a lot going on. I still like Thor. I like Thor a lot. He does a ton of damage, it seems like. I have heard that Rodrick is better than Thor. I will eventually be conducting that experiment with my main account, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do. I think Rodrick probably is a little bit better because his flame waves, I think this has a wider area, even though this should only go up to 1800, where Thor is like at, he's 350 per, I think. No, he's 450 per, and he's 300 per. So I think the thing is, his searing charge that he does has a much bigger area, so he might edge out. But again, we're going to conduct that experiment on my main account. The Viking chick, hands down, she is awesome, and the reason she's awesome is because the shadow clones attack in both directions. So unlike every other warrior, the way she's facing doesn't matter. She's going to hit forward and backwards. On top of that, she's also an attack debuff, which is great, because, I mean, just lowering the enemy's attack. Granted, it doesn't last that long because they're... Oh, no, it actually does last pretty long. Okay, so yeah, and that's the other thing, too. Is the one thing is that lowering their attack is sort of better than stunning now, because you can drop their attack by, like, 99%, and it'll stick around for a lot longer. It's kind of like why Evan is a better stun than Herald, because Evan's slow lasts forever compared to Herald. So now we have the lineup of, for sure, Brian, for sure, Daniel, the Viking chick, possibly Rodrick over Thor, and the other one I've been using is Julian. He's also a monster. He does so much damage. I've heard it's because his Sky Split hits such a huge area. He did actually get buffed not too long ago. It wasn't a huge buff. Thor got the bigger of the two buffs, but I think that's why. So those are your best warriors. And honestly, at the early game, it's going to be hard. Because it's going to be hard to get enough shards for Thor, Julian, Rodrick, Daniel, and Brian. But you should be investing in those and moving them into your team. That means Ryan is no longer one. Randolph, Leonidas, they are all gone. They're all gone now, and that actually frees up a lot of Ascension Stones. As you can see, I haven't been ascending them. If you look at my supports, I actually have 4-star Mythic Tristan and Luke, because of course they're just the best. But I will be migrating this to Daniel, Brian, Hilde. I'm probably going to keep Thor because I just can't see investing in Rodrick on this account. And I'll probably work up Julian. I plan on actually quitting using this account. I really just... So originally I wanted to get Luke and Tristan up to 5-star Mythic. And then I'm like, damn it, I should get Brian up too. And because now my heroes are more limited, like, okay, for example, I'll be using Brian, Daniel, Thor, the Viking chick, you know, either Rodrick or Julian. At this point, I could probably just grab Rodrick instead. I don't know. I might as well experiment here and grab Rodrick and level him up. The thing is, they're not going to take that many Ascension Stones to level up, so I have a lot more... I don't get as many summons, so I'll be able to, you know, get Brian maxed out. And then I just have, you know, I'll have all my 4-star heroes. They'll just be as high as they can be, and that'll be the end of it. I promise I'm going to quit after Brian is Mythic 5. And you have to remember, this account is on stage 3500, so it's not like I pushed very far. Because my goal wasn't to have this account, like, get very far. It was more like I wanted to get this... Originally it was, I wanted to try getting the Sky Castle. And then it was... You know, this is really easy and doesn't take that much time. I might as well get the Sky Castle anyways. And then that turned into, you know what would be really cool is let's do King's Ruins on this account, record it, and we're going to do a comparison against King's Ruins on my other account. And that has evolved now into something completely different. That has now evolved into, all right, let's get, I'm getting sidetracked. But let's get the Brian up. But again, for Warriors, it's going to be Brian and Daniel. It's going to be Hilde. It's going to be Thor. And then it's going to be Rodrick. Now, at early stages, when you don't have as many hero seals, I would recommend... Randolph is really good. Randolph is basically your discount Julian. He has a huge attack. He picks up a lot of things. And again... He would be your discount Julian, but I would say, I wouldn't go past, if you're starting out, I would say don't go past rare with him. You know, you could get him to rare. Rare isn't too expensive. You can see it's only a little bit more. But he is basically your discount Julian. I would stop at either 3-star rare, probably 3-star rare. Because I think that's still, like, Brian got sort of expensive towards the end. And it's going to depend on your Julian. So think of Randolph as your discount Julian. Of course, Thor's Thor. There's no replacement for him. Same thing with Hilde. There's no replacement for her. Ryan, you could use Ryan or Blake. Blake actually was really strong in the early game. I didn't really use him too much here because I knew he was on his way out. Now with all the warrior changes, Blake might really be really worth using in the early game. I would say definitely use Blake over Ryan. He could be your discount Thor. Like if you have no luck getting 4-star heroes, because it's really going to boil down to, do I get 4-star heroes or don't I? I would say put Daniel in no matter what. Daniel has to be on the team because even if he's crappy, you still need this buff. It's 200%. It won't be great, but you still need it. So Brian and Daniel are still must-haves. But if you can get like Blake, Randolph, and is there another one? Maybe Raven. I think Raven has a decent AoE area. I use her on my farm team, but that's because she's poison and she doesn't stun. I would try Randolph, Blake, and Raven. But again, Don't promote them past, I would say, rare 3-star. Don't really go further than that. You really want to save your Ascension Stones for the heroes you're going to be using long term, which is, I probably would say Rodrick over Thor, sadly. I love Thor, though. So it's going to be long term Brian, Daniel, Hilde, Julian, and Rodrick. That's what it's going to be. Alright, now over for supports. I'm going to tell you there's 4 supports you're going to use, and it's not even a question. And that's Tristan, Luke, Sophia, and Gabriel. Those 4 aren't even a question, and you can add Evan and Christian to that. So we're already at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I should be able to add to 6. What I mean? Am I a moron? I just want to be careful. Now, in the early game, I think Xavier is better than Marion. And the reason being is because you're going to need to keep pressure off your castle. So that'll be either Logan at the very start. Hopefully you'll upgrade to Carlos pretty soon. But again, look how I didn't ascend him. I kept Logan at 1 star. I kept Carlos at 2 stars. The one that got ascended is Xavier, because at the very early game, when your warriors aren't really that great at picking stuff up, Xavier's troops do help a lot. And one of the reasons Xavier does so well in the early game, I found out, is because of this. This doesn't seem like it does much, an additional 120%. But why Xavier is so strong in the early game is because that ability amps up their accuracy. So if you're able to push a lot, what you'll notice is your accuracy becomes the problem. So Xavier is very good at the early game because of the accuracy buff. Now, of course, Adrian would be better, but realistically, you're not going to get enough Adrian to overcome Xavier. As you can see, my Xavier is 1-star legendary. If I had more Ascension Stones, I might make him 1-star mythic, but I probably wouldn't go further than that. Again, it's going to be kind of a your mileage will vary kind of thing. You're going to have to play it out. I would say before getting him to Mythic 1, you're probably going to want to upgrade Evan. The only reason I stopped at Epic for Evan is simply because I didn't want to make a farm team and a regular team for my alternate account. I wanted to keep it simple, and I didn't want his slow to get too bad. So as you can see, his slow is only at 70%. So that's enough to crowd control things, but it's not enough to where it delays the end of a stage for an enormous amount of time. So that's a choice I made because I just didn't want to have to switch back and forth to have a push team, a farm team. I just didn't want to deal with it here. Okay, so, and again, if you do pump Evan up, and you get him to like 5-star mythic, and you're trying to farm, you'll need to replace him with anybody else. Anybody else. I do favor Camila for a slot. And ideally, Marion will eventually replace Xavier. That'll really depend on how well Sophia comes along. When Sophia is doing, like my Sophia isn't strong enough right now. When Sophia is at the point where she can heal things hitting the castle, you're probably going to be looking at replacing Xavier. And you're probably going to replace Xavier with Marion. Now, Marion could also replace Camila in this team. In this case, I just had no luck getting Marion shards. As you can see, she's... Alright, well, I take that back. I just haven't ascended her, but either way, I think Marion is stronger than Camila, so if you're at this point, you're going to have to test them out. But I'll say again, investing in Camila isn't a bad thing, even if you don't use her on your main team. She's great for your farm team, because she was on my farm team for a very long time, and she's great. And like I said, eventually you're going to get rid of Xavier anyways, and you're going to bring Marion in at that point. I probably wouldn't expect that until you're in 7,000, stage 7,000, 8,000 or so. Okay, so following that, then, again, so we have all our, and then Harold. Harold is the one I replaced Austin with. You probably won't be doing that replacement until, what would I say, stage, 9 to 10,000. Austin has some of the worst stat growth in the game. Let's we can give him a couple levels here. He's getting 4 attack. I think the only one that's worse than him is Sophia. So because his stat growth is so bad, you need to have at least legendary 3-star gear. I would even say you probably need. I didn't bring him onto my team until I had Mythic 3-star gear. Should I have changed him in earlier is questionable. I mean, I don't have a great answer. I mean, I knew that I was going to transition to Austin eventually. Should I have maybe done it a little sooner? It's really hard to say because all my results with Austin are all over the place. There's times when he has actually beaten Christian, and again, that's more towards Austin targeted the right things and Christian didn't. But he's beaten Christian in DPS. But I don't know how well he stacks against Herald, and it's really hard to get an apple-to-apple comparison. That said, I do believe long-term, especially when you start ruining him, the big thing is runes. That's going to be the big thing that really makes Austin shine, is when you start ruining him. But again, the rune order is still Sophia, Christian, then Austin. To me, there's no point in ruining up Austin over Christian. I would just say rune up Christian, because he's AoEing too, and then and again, when Sophia is stuck and Christian's stuck, then come back to Austin. To me, it didn't make any sense to do like Sophia, Austin, and Christian. Really, Christian is stronger. Go ahead and work Christian up first. But again, once you get started giving him runes, that's really when you're going to see his power jump. And again, he will completely overtake Herald just because of runes. It's just a very long-term strategy, and it will take a while to get there. Now, again, with the way runes work, for Christian, you want to make sure you get attack and crit damage. Both of those are the runes you want to rune up. For Sophia, it's just attack. Don't worry about any of the other stats. And Austin, it will be the same as Christian, because crit damage is actually really important. That said, those are the heroes you will use Aisha probably. Like, I had Aisha in for Sophie and I just swapped them. You'd probably use Aisha early game, Sophie, and swap her for Sophia in the later game. You're going to have to, again, you got to feel it out. Sophia doesn't really get good until she's at least level 2,000. She really doesn't. She needs to be at least level 2,000 because her healing is based off of her base attack. And this is terrible. 15,000? This is terrible. I probably shouldn't even have her in here, but I mean, it is. I wanted to try her. I started noticing Sophia contributing to my survivability when she was 3,000. So keep that in the back of your head. Again, I just kind of ran out of leveling people, as you can see. I've been stretched. I probably put too much in Tristan and Luke, but I knew I was going to keep those. I didn't know who else I was going to pick. Okay, so in terms of people you can definitively ignore, it's Mason, it's Ellie, it's Logan, it's Carlos, I have seen that Marcus does really well. I didn't use him. So the difficulty I have with Marcus is I started the game before Marcus was a thing, before Marcus and Raven were added to the game. So by the time they were added to the game, I already had an established account. If you get a lot of luck with Marcus, I mean, he does really good damage from what I've seen. But again, you're going to phase him out for a 4-star eventually. So again, if you're going to phase somebody out for a 4-star and they're not critical to the team, I would say you promote them up to rare 3-star and then don't promote them anymore. I would only suggest promoting past that when you get to a point where you're like, I have, 100,000 Ascension Stones, Zerdan. What do I do? I've already maxed out. I've maxed out Luke, Tristan, Evan, Brian. I've maxed out all those, and the 4-star heroes, they're as high as they can be. That's when I would consider, say, you know what? Are you using Marcus? If so, then promote him a little more. If he's part of your team and you say you can't replace him with Herald, because I think these two are pretty equivalent, go ahead and ascend Marcus, not Martin. Ascend Marcus a little further than 3-star rare. But that's the cutoff. And again, You're not going to ascend Mason, Ellie, Logan, Carlos, Carlos, and I would not recommend ascending or really leveling too much Lucas. He got this monster nerf, and ever since that nerf, I mean, I used him because I pulled him in the very beginning of the game, and that's why I ascended him to 4-star, and that's why he's level 700. That was actually before the nerf, and I feel like the nerf has just made him worse. So you can see I ascended him once, I never leveled him past 700, and I got rid of him. He is just straight up, he is probably the worst hero that we have right now. So I think that about covers it, and that covers the changes. Like, the support side really didn't change much. The big thing was, like, who's going to be your 9th support? I have favored Camila. In your case, it might be Marion. It really depends on who do you get lucky with the shards. I mean, hell, it could be Austin. If you got Austin up and you want to try him, bring him in. I mean, I would say feel free to experiment, but you know my team. It's Luke, Tristan, Gabriel, Sophia. We have Austin instead of Harold. We have, you know what? Let me just do the formation. I'm just going to do the formations as if this is my main account. This is my push team right here. And this is how I always have them set up. And nope. Should be all the way back there. And yes, positioning does matter. If you're wondering why I position, that's why. So Austin and Christian should always be in these 2 slots because they have the best range. When I say range, I mean their projectile has the least travel time. So you want them in the front. You want Evan right here for the same reason, because his special has a travel time. I probably should put... Oh, I didn't mean to move you. I probably should actually put... God damn it. Put Tristan back over there. I probably should put Gabriel over here. Now, again, I think these 2 are equivalent because this one is a little further back and this one's a little more to the center. I think they're about equivalent. And then these 4 back here are people that you just don't want hitting. So Gabriel's really good. He has a really strong attack too. So don't discount Gabriel. But again, I haven't really seen him pumping up the numbers. So it might be better to replace him with Marion and stick him back here and pretend... Oh. Dirt. And again, Evan has to be here only because of his special. If his special didn't matter, I would probably move Gabriel up and put Evan back there. But I don't want Evan to have a super slow special that just takes forever to land. So I think this is a pretty good formation. It's pretty balanced. I really wish... It is sort of weird how... I guess the castle is not symmetrical because it's kind of lopsided over there. Anyways, but this is my push team, and this is my I don't know why I'm pointing to the words. This entire thing is my push team. Now my farm team, I am experimenting with this recently. I am experimenting with leaving the Viking chicken. The reason being is the stun isn't that long, and I don't think it goes off at a critical time, because again, it's every 7 seconds, right? So with double speed, it's every 3.5 seconds. And I don't think it goes off at a time where she specials and it delays the stage. It's the same thing I keep Marion in. Because Marion's special is right before the boss. The boss comes out, all the stuff she hit comes out, and then everything's on the board, and you can just clear the board up, and it doesn't matter at that point. So even though she has crowd control, she doesn't crowd control to the point where it's going to, make the stage take longer. So I leave her in. I, of course, replace Evan. Where is Adrian? Oh, yeah, I'm looking at Warriors. I replace Evan with Adrian. I replace... I put, I only replace those 2. I don't even know if I need to keep Austin out, to be honest. I might try leaving him in. But that's who I replace. This is basically my farm team. I only swap those two. And excuse me. But this is an experiment. If Hilde is a problem, I would, of course, replace her. Where's Raven? I used to do it like this, and, this, I just replaced her with Raven. And, like I said, I've never had an issue with Marion, and, nobody else crowd controls. It's just these two and Marion. And like I said, Marion's crowd control, the way the timing works out, and again, her hitbox, she doesn't hit, like, whoops. That's not what I meant to do. She doesn't hit, like, super far off the screen over here. She hits, like, right around here. So they're right on the edge of the screen anyway, so it's not a big deal. So that's my farm team. And so and again, this might all change with Total War. Because Total War, it sounds like you use your heroes and they're exhausted. So it sounds like you're going to have to invest in everyone anyways. But I would still focus on investing on who's going to get you furthest in the game first. And then worry about that. And then, kind of figure things out later. So, okay, I got to kind of... All right, Marion wasn't in the team anymore. I gotta kind of put this back. We put Harold back here. Oh man. Yeah, I had Ryan, the Viking chick, Thor. Yeah, Thor. You definitely, because he has that. Randolph. And again, Randolph is your discount Julian if you don't have a good Julian. There we go. I will be working on updating this team, but so once again, this is I apologize that this was kind of a little more scattered than I would like, but I tried to hit all of the good heroes, what makes them good, what I would use. It's a lot. The meta to me is a lot more loose now with the extra support. You have a lot more flexibility. You could use Harold instead of Camilla. I mean, there really isn't too many variations anymore. Because again, if you come back here to supports, right, you're never going to use Lucas. Probably, I mean, Adrian would replace Xavier. You'd only use one of them. And again, you'd probably work towards getting rid of them anyways because they stop doing damage. At the end of the game, when you're at my level, you're concerned about damage. So when Xavier's damage starts sucking because you have Tristan and Luke buffing everybody else, that's when I would just say, you know what, your time's up, old man. Honestly, let me see how his damage is. He's actually still putting up numbers. I honestly don't understand how. He eventually drops off. He just doesn't scale, I bet I know why he's putting up numbers. He's putting up numbers because we're so overpowered at this point that the fact that he has his troops on the field, they hit things before other people do. That's actually why him and Adrian are good to farm with. Because their people are always on the field, they don't ever suffer from like Camilla. Like, see how she's so low, and Christian too apparently, because they have travel time with their projectiles. So stuff, and even my archers. Wow, anybody with a projectile here is sucking it up, except for Harold. I don't know why Harold is doing so well, but it's all about projectile travel time. And so when you're farming, that's why I use Xavier and Adrian, because their troops are always on the field. And with their troops always on the field, they're always doing damage. They don't have travel time delay. And again, if you look at my 4th of July video, it shows how I farm, and that was stage 9406. If you're looking for a stage to farm, I would recommend looking at the Idle Kingdom Defense Helper. That will help you choose a stage like that that's good for you. That said, I did kind of ramble a little bit more in this than I wanted to. Mostly because a lot of people ask me, like, what hero should I use? What should I do? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on what you've drawn. It depends on what you're at. So again, the rule of thumb is if it's a 3-star or less and you're in the early stages of the game, promote it to 3-star rare at most. Stop there. That's when things start to get expensive. and focus on the S tier heroes. If you have all the S tier heroes, you're using maxed out, and like I said, you're sitting on 100k Ascension Stones, then look at those heroes and say, you know what, I'm using Marcus. How's his damage? His damage is pretty good for my team. All right, let's promote him up to Epic 1. See what that does. Again, I would favor taking small steps in promoting people over just being like, all right, let me just take Marcus up to Mythic 5. Instead of doing like that, just, again, the ones you're going to focus on first, Luke and Tristan, by far, get them up to Mythic 1 at least. By far, I would focus on that ahead of everybody. Because, and especially with Luke, because Mythic 1 for Luke is huge. He goes from 200 to 300%. That is huge, affects everybody on your team. Follow it up with Tristan, because again, this goes up to 265%. But then you're going to have to, I wouldn't neglect getting Brian up. Get Daniel up. Get your warriors in there, as I haven't done yet, but I will be doing. And then kind of look at your supports and say, okay, I focus these two. Obviously, you got Evan in there, and you got Gabriel too. Gabriel really good, especially when you take care of your archers. And of course, Christian. Then once you got them in there, then start looking at, okay, do I have a bunch of shards for Camila? Let's promote her and try her. Do I have a bunch of shards for Marion? Oh, let's promote her and try her instead of Camila. It's a lot more fluid. And like I said, the ones you want to avoid, Logan, Ellie, Mason, Carlos, Austin into your late game. And again, I don't know how good Marcus is. And I don't know how good... Lucas. Avoid Lucas at all costs. And Adrian's going to depend. I would say you're probably better off with Xavier, and by the time you can swap Adrian in, you're probably not going to need the troops anymore. And that's about it. To me, the game has really gotten a little bit more simple. And again, warriors, like you said, you got Brian and Daniel on lock, and I haven't gotten there yet. And then it's the Viking chick, Rodrick, Julian. That's about it. Really not too much more to see there. Again, early game, I would really look at Blake. Blake is really strong. He might still be really good. I don't know about Raven. And Randolph would be your discount Julian. That said, I think I have over-covered it. So once again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have any questions, please say something in the comments. I do always look forward to your questions. And thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.